A Boeing 747 Combi vanishes over the Indian Ocean after a desperate Mayday call. Smoke in the cargo hold, chaos in the cockpit. The truth may be more chilling than you imagine. November 28, 1987. South African Airways Flight 295, a Boeing 747 Combi named Helderberg, prepares for takeoff from Taipei, Taiwan, bound for Johannesburg, South Africa, with 140 passengers and 19 crew members on board. The flight's route was a standard path for long-haul services, with a scheduled stop in Mauritius to refuel before continuing on to Johannesburg. Flight 295 took off at 14:23 UTC, 22:23 local time. On board were a mix of passengers and cargo, with the aircraft's Combi configuration allowing both to be carried simultaneously. The Combi configuration of the Boeing 747 placed passengers in the forward section of the main deck, while the cargo was loaded into the rear, separated by a reinforced bulkhead. Below the main deck, additional cargo was stored in the belly holds. This design maximized efficiency but introduced potential risks, as later events would tragically demonstrate. The flight progressed uneventfully for the first several hours. The cabin crew served meals and passengers settled in for the long journey. At around 3:45 local time, however, the situation aboard the Helderberg took a dramatic turn. The captain radioed air traffic control in Mauritius, reporting smoke in the cargo hold. Captain Davi's report indicated the presence of smoke, but provided no details on its intensity or source. Investigators would later determine that the fire likely started in the cargo area, near Pallet PR, located close to the rear section of the main deck. The crew's tone remained professional, suggesting they believed the situation could be managed. However, smoke in an aircraft's cargo hold is a dire emergency, as it poses the risk of spreading to other sections of the plane. Over the next few minutes, the situation deteriorated rapidly. In the cabin, passengers began to notice the faint smell of burning materials. The flight attendants, trained to handle emergencies, moved quickly to reassure the passengers while attempting to locate the source of the smell. One cabin crew member reportedly located the fire and attempted to extinguish it. Despite their efforts, the fire continued to spread, intensifying the already critical situation. In the cockpit, alarms began to sound as fire detection systems indicated escalating temperatures in the cargo hold. Smoke seeped into the flight deck, complicating the crew's ability to assess the situation. The crew donned oxygen masks and began emergency protocols to attempt to contain the fire. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, Captain Davi's contacted Mauritius once more, this time reporting the presence of an actual fire in the cargo hold. He requested and executed an emergency descent to 14,000 feet to reduce cabin pressure and potentially slow the spread of the fire. At 3:50 a.m. local time, Captain Davi's contacted Mauritius once again, updating them on the severity of the smoke. This second transmission, though calm, hinted at the growing gravity of the situation. Captain Davi's requested a priority approach to Mauritius, signaling the crew's intention to make an emergency landing. At this point, the aircraft was approximately 250 kilometers from Mauritius, a distance that required at least 20 minutes to cover for a safe descent and landing. By 3:55 a.m., the situation had reached a critical point. Flames in the cargo hold likely breached the bulkhead, introducing intense heat and toxic smoke into the passenger cabin. Survivors, if any, would have been struggling to breathe as the cabin filled with noxious fumes. Despite their dire circumstances, the crew continued their efforts to control the situation. However, at 4:07, the aircraft disappeared from radar. Its last known position was over the Indian Ocean, northeast of Mauritius. In the hours following the disappearance, search and rescue operations were launched, involving both South African and international teams. By midday on November 29th, floating debris, including pieces of the aircraft and personal items, was spotted in the Indian Ocean, approximately 134 nautical miles northeast of Mauritius. This confirmed that the Helderberg had been lost. Search teams recovered several items such as a cargo door, passenger luggage, and smaller wreckage. Tragically, none of the 159 passengers and crew survived. Recovery efforts were hampered by the depth of the ocean at the crash site, which exceeded 4,900 meters, making it one of the deepest searches of its time. The cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder were eventually retrieved weeks later by the French submersible Nautil, providing crucial data for the investigation. These discoveries marked significant breakthroughs, but also opened the door to a new set of questions and theories surrounding the tragedy. The official investigation concluded that the likely cause of the crash was a fire in the main deck cargo hold. However, the source of the fire was never definitively identified. Speculation ranged from dangerous goods being transported without proper declaration to electrical malfunctions, but conclusive evidence remained elusive. The tragedy of Flight 295 serves as a grim reminder of the devastating consequences of in-flight fires and the enduring need for safety innovations in aviation. The Helderberg remains a symbol of unanswered questions and lives lost far too soon.